Continuing the spooky theme, today I'm reviewing a brand new game that just released, one that embodies the Halloween spirit perfectly, Pumpkin Jack. The game begins with a nifty storybook-like cinematic, the narrator setting up the story of the game. It's set in the kingdom of Arkansas, where everything and everyone lives in peace and harmony. It's so peaceful and happy there that it's boring. Really boring. The devil, bored with all this peace, casts the curse of eternal night onto the kingdom, summoning monsters to attack and destroy humanity. Humanity summons their champion, a wizard, to find a way to stop the curse. In response, the devil summons his own champion, Stingy Jack, stuffing his soul into a pumpkin and summoning him to Earth. He promises to send Jack to the afterlife if he can find and stop the wizard, the game starting as Jack arrives in Arkansas. The developer of the game describes Pumpkin Jack as medieval meets Jak and Daxter, which is a pretty solid description of the game. It's a 3D platformer where you control Jack as he makes his way through what's left of the Arkansas kingdom, fighting the mindless mobs the devil summoned along with the forces of good in order to find the wizard and doom the world to eternal darkness. The game is level based, 6 levels in total, each one lasting between 40 minutes to an hour depending on how fast you choose to breeze through it. The primary goal of each level is to destroy monsters, collect 20 crow skulls, and 1 gramophone in each level, and then beat a boss at the end. The levels themselves are massive, and really embody the Halloween spirit, creating a spooky and fun atmosphere that, as the developer said, gives off a medieval vibe. They're also pretty diverse, set in places like a crow field, a haunted mine, a cursed swamp, and even a snowy area. The game isn't just killing monsters though, as it shakes up the gameplay in a few different ways. Like having Jack separate his head from his body to do little puzzles to progress through certain gates, gameplay changes like escaping a burning building, riding through minecarts, or even getting into races with some of the knights of the kingdom. Jack has an assortment of weapons that he unlocks as he completes each level. He'll first start off with a shovel, before gaining a spear, a talking sword, a magic wand turned into a shotgun, a scythe, and finally a magic attack. Along with these melee weapons, he'll also have a crow companion he can use as a long-range attack. The monsters he fights aren't very tricky, but you'll see your health drop fast if you don't make good use of the dodge button to get out of the way. While it's light on collectibles, unlike a lot of other platformers where collectibles don't do much outside of a tally at the end of a level, the crow skulls serve a purpose. By finding this merchant in the game,
got something that might interest you.
you can spend the skulls to buy new skins for Jack, which are pretty neat. The game doesn't have a live system, and instead works off of checkpoints, a green cauldron with an L on it where you can refill your health. They're spread pretty fairly across the level, so if you end up dying, most likely from a bad jump or a boss fight, you won't lose too much progress. You also keep any crow skulls you found before dying. Speaking of bosses, they tend to be all over the place in terms of difficulty. They fight similarly to Mario bosses, as you'll usually have to dodge their attacks, then move in to attack them when they're vulnerable, repeating the pattern 3 times in order to win. It sounds simple, but most bosses have different tactics to beating them, dodging multiple attacks, enemies they summon, throwing back their own attacks to hurt them, or leading them into an attack to hurt themselves. My only issues with the game is that the weapons don't feel diverse enough, the combos not being very different from each other, and since there's no enemies that can only be taken out by certain weapons, there's little incentive to switch between them. Another is the difficulty. There's no difficulty option, and your standard enemy doesn't provide any real challenge. Made a bit worse is enemies and objects in the level will heal Jack, barely putting you in danger of dying. And finally, just the game's length, lasting around 5 to 6 hours, with not much replayability outside of picking up any missing collectibles or speedrunning a level. That said, it's an impressive game considering it was made by only one person, with a bit of help to get it ported to consoles. Its performance is solid, running smoothly at 60 frames per second, with no lagging or freezing. Like I said before, the game is gorgeous, and even has support for RTX and ray tracing, not something you see very often with indie games. Pumpkin Jack is an amazing game that embodies the Halloween spirit, and a great throwback to 3D platforms of the PS2 days. It's got a funny story with some interesting characters, and while short, it's a very enjoyable experience. It's currently priced at $30, and I think that's fair for its length, though there is a 20% discount going on now on Steam. If you're on the fence about it, you can also download the free demo that will take you through the first level, and even let you carry over your progress if you decide to buy the full game. And that's the video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like below. If you want to see more of my content and want to be kept up to date as I make new videos, don't forget to subscribe. I'm Fuzzy Slippers, and I'll see you later. Peace.